Hi everybody, Gary Williams again, reaching out to friends and colleagues all over the world to see how this coronavirus is affecting all of our lives. And I'm very happy today to be talking and hooking up with one of my favourite people in the world. There he is, the great Harry the piano in his garden. Hello, Harry.
The great Harry the piano is actually closer to the truth than you know, as I put on a Corona stone since lockdown.
I'm glad I'm not the only one. I mean, the thing is, there's only so much jumping around to Joe Wicks you can do. I mean, if you're eating biscuits all day, it doesn't work, does it? And I bet, knowing you as I do, you're probably having very grand lunches and even grander dinners every day.
Well, I'm on lunch duty, actually. There's three of us here. It was myself, wife and nephew. So I'm on lunch. What did we have today? We had spicy chicken soup with ravioli on wilted spinach with pine nuts, chili and garlic. That was my creation today.
Wilted
no complaints, Gary.
How did you wilt it? Did it wilt all on its own, just at did somebody saw you walk in the room, or do you
coaxed it gently over a low flame? That's the traditional method.
You've been doing that to me for years. So
I didn't look at it archly in the way that you might wilt people.
I love the fact this is my first chat with somebody in their garden, and that is a very large garden. Is that all yours?
Well, incredibly lucky, actually. We've been saying this every day. No, it's not all mine. We live in Battersea on Battersea Park Road, and there's a group of 10 houses on Battersea Park Road which are lucky enough to have all their gardens joined together. So we've got this amazing kind of joint garden. It's like one of those London oddities. And I've walked past these houses thousands of times as I grew up not too far from here, never realising that it's like a little secret, sort of hidden from the main road with buses rushing past. Still, even actually buses still going past outside, but there's this sort of little oasis of tranquility here. And we also have Battersea Park across the road. So
the reason why you're particularly lucky is because if you were here with me in Tenerife or in Spain, even though, I mean, you would not be allowed to use a shared garden. So your garden would be off limits for everybody living there.
Are you serious?
It was quite serious. I live in a small apartment here. We've all got, most of the blocks have got sort of small roof terraces, which the Spanish very rarely do anything on their terraces except hang washing out, whereas the Brits are like sun, but nobody's allowed on their roof terraces except to, hang washing out and get it back in. Fear that people will congregate, and if they let one person up there, then you could, before you know it, there's a barbecue going on or a little party. So that it's great that you've got that, and it's even better that you can use it.
Yeah, well, I wasn't aware of that. So I mean, you're saying our lockdown is the equivalent of sort of Jeffrey Archer's open prison, whereas yours is more, you've got cell block H going on there in Tenerife.
That's right. It actually makes a change to be talking to you and not have a big piano next to you. So have you been, are you just giving yourself a holiday from music during the lockdown, or is this a rare moment of escape from the piano for you?
Yeah, I'm giving myself a holiday from the piano. Yes, and digging into that rather large trust fund that Daddy left me. No, I can't give myself a holiday from the piano. I have zero income coming in, my dear boy. So I'm doing two things, actually. I'm putting out a little series called Lockdown Blues, which is a tune a day, for two reasons, really. One, it gives me a little routine. It makes you do something creative on a daily basis. And the other thing is just to put something out there, perform, hopefully spread a few smiles. That's kind of ultimately what we're here to do, isn't it? To, try and lift some spirits. And the other thing that I'm doing, which is sort of unrelated, although because I'm getting some reaction to this tune a day. I've had nice, get ready for the clanging name drops here, but I've had some nice endorsements from Stephen Fry and Alexander Armstrong have been kind enough to push my little lockdown thing started on Facebook. It's now on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. I'm also teaching students how to improvise, which I do anyway in some schools traveling around, but I'm doing it in a kind of Skype way that I've not done before, which is sort of rewarding and frustrating in equal measure. It's rewarding in that because there's a time difference, a latency, you can't actually play live with somebody because you're half a second in front or behind. So you have to record backings and send them in advance. you listen to people playing along with your pre-recorded backings, and that kind of works quite well, because usually when you're accompanying someone, you're distracted by the accompaniment you're playing, and you're not giving them 100%.
Oh.
But now you're just sat back listening to them playing with one of your accompaniments. You can see and hear things in a bit more clarity. But of course, it's frustrating because, as you all know, doing your video chats, signals aren't always, if they're in the middle of the countryside or something, signals come and go, and people have different levels of competence at the way they place their laptops and phones. And
I mean, if someone's ambitious enough to do a video interview from their garden, God knows what. But so far, so good. So
it's working.
It is working. Yeah. It is working.
Are
you somebody that has a strong sense of routine? Anyway, I mean, generally in your life, are you a guy that sort of has a bit of a routine? And how is that working out during the lockdown?
I would say I'm actually finding that lockdown has given me a routine that I'd never had before.
Wow. Simply
because, there are certain rhythms to the day when you're all inside the house, like, cooking lunch for people who are actually doing 9 to 5s. And when you can record and not record and disturb everybody around you, it's forcing you into kind of daily patterns. So no, I'm not somebody who usually have a routine at all. I can, with my traveling lifestyle and gigs here, there and everywhere at any times, I could be getting home from 11 p.m. till 4 a.m. and consequently sleeping differently the next day and eating at odd times. So yeah, no, exactly the reverse. This has enforced the routine upon me, and I don't like it.
Do you not like the routine?
No, I can't stand routine. That's exactly why I got into the business in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
It's to avoid routine. Yes.
But I mean, so I mean, seriously, how are you coping with this? Because our mental health is important, and it's a great strain for a lot of people that are not used to being confined like this and boxed in.
You're right. I mean, I feel for people who are particularly don't have access. I mean, your story earlier about not being able to share a shared garden is horrific. But I mean, that's one thing. But people who live on a tower block who can barely open a window, and single mums with 3 small kids, and I mean, it's just like, you just realise how much the lines have fallen to yourself in pleasant places compared to some people. So, there is that aspect of just get on with it and just, count your blessings. So far, Gary, to answer your question, sorry, we're doing all right because, I've got my wife and my nephew, and it's a nice dynamic. He's in his 20s, and there's me and my wife, obviously, so it's kind of a mixture of ages, and we all seem to be rubbing along so far. But ask me again in a month, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it will start kicking in. And I've just had my first sort of real brush with the virus, in as much as a school friend of mine from my year, his wife, he rang me up today to tell me his wife's in intensive care. Whoa. And there's nothing like it being that's close to you to sort of, obviously about it in the abstract, don't you, watching the figures and everything. But when one of your dearest friends' partner is in intensive care, you just realise that that's how close we are to it, and it does become very real and very frightening.
I mean, and it takes something like that to, I think, really take it seriously. I mean, it was hearing stories like that finally made me, when we've been grocery shopping, we now wash all the cans and the packaging and everything, the fruit, we wash everything down, and when we come back in from being out, we spray our shoes. We've got this sort of alcohol spray, that we put on our shoes, and, we're very diligent, but it actually took me, I tend to be sort of a little bit blasé and a little bit dismissive. So for a while I was like, oh, it'll be all right. We don't need to wash the cans, it's mad. But we certainly do. And it's when you hear these personal stories of people who are close to you that are suffering from it, it's quite frightening, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah. You're frightening me now with your talk of sterilising your shoes and washing down cans, because we're not doing any of that. And even really, I mean, one thing we do is sort of spray packages that come from Amazon or delivery services, because obviously the courier's fingers have been on that. But they're in gloves, so they probably need it less. But the idea of spraying all your individual tins and packages, it's a thought, isn't it? Yeah. Like a grim one, really.
Yeah.
That's a joke.
So if people want to get in touch with you, and if they want to, I mean, are you taking requests for your daily blues thing?
First request today is from that friend of mine that I was telling you about, and he's asked me to play one of his partner's favourite songs, so I'll be doing that on Facebook today. It took me a while to transfer the series over to the other platforms, being 102. And thankfully now I have my tech-savvy nephew in the house to show me how everything works. And
he's earning his keep.
He's done fancy placeholders for me, and it all looks very swish now. So basically, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube are a week behind. So I'm on day 20 on Facebook, and day 11 on all the other platforms. So yeah, if you just search Harry the Piano on any one of those platforms, that will come up. So, and if anybody's interested in learning to improvise on piano in any style, from classical through jazz, through pop, through rock, whatever, bespoke lessons, then they can reach me, Harry at harrythepiano.com. That would be exciting.
Despite the horrors of this virus and the worries that we all have about when we're going to get back to work, it is actually really uplifting to know that there are great opportunities to be had while we're in lockdown. If we think about it, we can really make great use of our time.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you're right. It is, isn't it? It's just this unwanted time that we've all been granted. It is opportunity to do all those things, and I mean, everything in moderation. I mean, you're a kind of diligent chap who sort of uses every hour that God sends in the best way possible. You're a great. From knowing you for many years, I know that kind of whenever I meet you for a casual lunch, which for me will be the zenith of the day, for you will be like, yes, well, from 9:12 till 9:21, I'm actually reprogramming my vacuum cleaner, and then I've got a meeting in Belarus, and you know, whereas but this is great, and also I've got these two really hard workers upstairs. I've got a lawyer and somebody else's corporate person who can sit at the table and just work, stare at their screens all day and work. So there's this kind of guilt permeating from upstairs. I say I better bloody do something with the day, rather than. Yes.
I tell you what, it's the bird song in your garden is stunning, isn't it? That's inspiration.
It's lovely.
Itself. Yeah, Harry.
Actually, what you can't see is I'm sat under two trees. This is the perfect time of the year. I'm sat under these two trees of blossom, and this kind of gentle white blossom is drifting down like snow around me. It's incredibly picturesque. It's like some kind of odd eye of the storm moment.
You realise for the people watching this who are stuck in a little flat.
I know, it's horrible. I'm sorry. I know.
They're going to hate your guts right now.
Yeah, well, and rightly so. I do apologise. Yes.
But they could cheer themselves up by paying you to teach them piano.
They can, yes, exactly, yes. I can surround them with a soundscape of equal beauty, and then they can wallow in.
Exactly.
Yes.
Harry, it is always a joy to talk to you. Thank you for doing that today. Thank you for sharing your garden with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Lots of love, Harry. Take care. Stay safe.